The wind swept across. The dry plains of Red Creek like a voice warning travelers not to stay too long in a place where mercy had long ago packed its bags and vanished. And beneath that burning sun a small cabin sagged under the weight of 1,000 unspoken tragedies, one of which was unfolding inside as Maria Lane struggled to rise from the dusty floor, her face swollen, her ribs throbbing, her breath shaking from the vicious beating she had endured that morning simply because she had given birth to 3 daughters, instead of the son her husband demanded as though children were, forged by willpower rather than love. She had shielded herself as long as she could, but his rage had come like a storm, kicking, striking, shouting that she had cursed him with nothing but girls, that she was good for nothing, that God must be punishing them because she was too weak to give him an heir. And when their youngest daughter started crying, he had thrown Maria aside like a broken tool and left the house swearing that by sundown she better be gone, because he was bringing home a woman who knew how to make real children, his boots crunching on the gravel as if stomping out the last pieces of her spirit. With trembling hands she had crawled to the doorway, hiding her daughters in a neighbor's old barn with whispered promises she wasn't sure she could keep, her body screaming in protest with every movement. Now, lying alone in the half-collapsed cabin, Maria wondered if this was where her life ended, not in some dramatic final moment, but quietly, as a woman too bruised to stand, too unwanted to be missed, too ashamed to ask for help in a world that looked down on women who didn't give sons. But fate had a strange way of placing the right person in the right place, at the right time. And miles away a solitary rancher named Elias Rourke guided his horse through the open range, his broad-brimmed hat tilted low, his face etched with lines carved by more loneliness than age, a man who had lived through more goodbyes than any heart should withstand, his parents gone to fever, his brother to a mine explosion, his sweetheart to a winter sickness that stole her breath in one night. And though he had built a vast ranch out of nothing but grit and grief, it had become a place where silence echoed louder than footsteps. Elias wasn't searching for salvation, for trouble, or for company. He was simply riding to clear the ache inside his chest when he noticed thin smoke curling from the direction of the long-abandoned cabin, a place nobody had lived in for years, and curiosity, or perhaps something deeper, pulled him toward it. His horse slowed as he approached, ears twitching at the sound of something faint and broken. And when Elias pushed open the battered door, he froze, breath catching, at the sight of Maria, crumpled on the floor like a wounded fawn trying desperately to rise. She flinched when she saw him, expecting another blow, but Elias knelt, removing his hat with a gentleness that quieted the air around them, and said in a deep, steady voice, I ain't here to harm you." She tried to speak, her voice cracking like splintered wood, and in fragmented breaths she told him everything: the beatings, the hatred, the discarded promises, the fear for her daughters, the threat that she would be replaced by sundown. Something inside Elias, something old and dormant, snapped awake at her words, not anger for himself, but a fierce protective fire that surged through him with the force of a storm. He didn't need to know her whole life story, didn't need a reason beyond the truth shining in her eyes. She was a woman who had suffered too long, and he was a man who could not turn away from someone who needed saving. Without hesitation, he slid his arms beneath her, lifting her with surprising gentleness, draping his own coat over her trembling body as though shielding her from every cruelty she had ever endured. She whispered that her husband would kill her, that she had nowhere to go, that she was nothing but trouble for any man who dared help her. But Elias shook his head, voice firm as canyon stone. "Listen to me," he said, meeting her gaze with steady determination. "You're coming with me." She blinked, stunned, unsure whether to trust him, unsure if this was another lie wrapped in kindness, but something in his tone, in his eyes, in the way he held her as if she were made of something precious, told her that this time the world was offering her a chance she'd never had. Elias helped her onto his horse, holding her securely as they rode toward the horizon stained gold by the sinking sun. And for the first time in years, Maria felt warmth not followed by pain, safety not followed by punishment, hope not crushed by fear. As the lights of Rourke Ranch appeared in the distance, glowing like a promise waiting to be kept, Maria closed her eyes and let herself imagine, just for a moment, that this stranger might be the beginning of a life where she wasn't beaten, blamed, or betrayed, but protected, valued, maybe even loved. Though she dared not believe it fully yet, Elias rode on, unaware that with one sentence, "You're coming with me," he had not only changed her fate, but his own, as two lonely, wounded souls unknowingly took their first steps toward a future neither of them had ever imagined possible.